Quick. We made it. Timing is the key to life. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the December 10th, 2019 meeting of the Milton Conservation Commission. Commission members are appointed by the Select Board to implement the rules and regulations of the State Wetlands Protection Act and the Milton Town Bylaw governing wetlands. As a matter of formality, we have 2 points. One is we've got a magical tape recorder here that records everything for open meeting law purposes, and we welcome everybody to ask questions, make points, but we do ask that you approach the table and use one of the mics so you can be heard, and identify yourself. The second point of formality is we introduce ourselves.
Judith Darrell Campbell.
Oh, we changed, right, we changed seats.
Usually over there. Ingrid Day.
John Kiernan.
Arthur Doyle.
Jerry Burke.
Wendy Garpo.
And Steve Ivas, Conservation Agent.
First on the agenda is abbreviated notice of resource area delineation at 582 Blue Hill Avenue. Welcome.
Good evening. Just for the record, Scott Morrison from Aquatech. I was on site to delineate the wetland resource areas on this project. The area consists of 582 Blue Hill Ave. There's a small intermittent stream which is actually off-site. We gained permission from that property owner to delineate the bank of that stream. We filed a abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for the purpose to review those boundaries, to allow the Conservation Commission to review those, and to determine the extent of the buffer zone on the project. So that's what this application consists of. And again, wetland resource areas consisting of flags A1 to A10 consists of the bank of an intermittent stream. You can see it right along the back, the bottom there.
A10 is down there.
Yep.
Do you know, Scott, can you remember, we did some work on Arnold Road, and I can't remember if we made a delineation as to whether or not it was intermittent or if we just dodged that issue and whether it's perennial or not. I don't think it matters jurisdictionally to you, but I can't recall if the Arnold Road work
I don't
made
believe
such
a
a
decision
designation.
was made or if it was determined intermittent. I actually ran stream stats on this particular site,
Yes.
so the watershed's tiny.
Yeah, no, I did see, I
Watershed
did
is-
read that, and I appreciate that.
It's 0.0627 square miles.
It
So
was
it's
supposed to be
about
like that,
it would have
0.5
to
or
be
something.
at least 10 times that to
Right.
be a perennial stream, to even be close to a perennial stream.
That's correct.
Scott, can we put this in a little more perspective? This is a house, 4
Yeah.
acres of land,
you have a-
right? Yeah.
Here, Scott.
And it's a house from like about 1920, the Gilded Age. And I think it has,
How do
well,
you know it's
still.
the Gilded Age?
Well,
You weren't
because
around.
Ellen Biddle Shipman, I think, did the gardens, didn't she? Landscape architect. Historic gardens are at this house, and I'm pretty sure. So I think she used some of the water on the site because she tended to do that. So, but anyway, go on.
It's possible, entirely possible.
And this orientation, this is right next to Delphi Academy?
Right, yeah, right,
Yeah.
kind of behind Delphi. Delphi is right in here.
Okay.
Right.
So the frontage, the roadway's here.
And I can-
Driveway
Avenue.
comes down
can move
and
it
loops.
down.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, perfect. So here's the roadway, here's Delphi. The road, driveway comes through and loops around and then goes out
And
here.
there's some gardens here,
Yep.
right in that area.
Yep. So the house here, there's, a carriage house here, kind of slopes down away from the house, and then you've got this rock-lined channel through here. This is the 25-foot buffer, and then the 100-foot buffer.
And who is the applicant?
Applicant is,
It's Comprehensive Land Holdings. It's just the company, a couple of kids that bought the house. They paid us.
So we don't have any kind of a permit proposal or a notice of intent for?
After I said with this one in Canton Ave, let's get
I
this
saw
in.
the same applicant, so.
Yeah.
I said, let's get this and then we can decide what can be done. This is actually, was subdivided, but the subdivision's terrible. We're trying to rework it to figure out what's going on next. But I said, that the first thing we wanted to do was, let's get the line delineated and locked down so we can take into account anything we do here.
All right, so as of today, you don't know what the plan of action is in the future?
No, they've talked about a bunch of stuff, but nothing I can bring forward.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, I looked at the line, it's fine. Line is fine,
Great. I think we should take a site walk
if you'd like.
to approve this. I would. You agree?
Yes.
All right. It's a pretty sensitive area, and we've actually had some flooding issues on the Arnold Road side within the last
Across the street?
10 years. It's in back. It comes in off of Robin Street, and it kind of backs into that. There's a cul-de-sac.
So it's down the hill from there, is what you're saying?
It is.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You're correct.
Yeah, so
You
it's,
said it down there?
All right. I know the water's not going to flow uphill, but
Yeah.
it's a, a relatively sensitive area.
Okay.
And I think the neighbors deserve our site walk.
Do you want to
How
schedule?
about after the holidays, though? First week of January? Well, our next meeting is until what, the 14th of January?
That's true. That's true.
You don't have anything Saturday mornings that you have to do? Your wife doesn't have a list for you, John?
Nope. Go anytime, anytime.
9 a.m.
Yeah, let's say the first Saturday.
Everybody's going cycling. Wow. All right, no, are there any questions on this particular application? Now, remember, this is not for a permit, it's not an NOI, it's just abbreviated Notice of Resource Area Delineation. And for the public's benefit, all that means is that we're setting the lines that establish our jurisdiction. There's actually no request to do anything with the property at this juncture. But it might be important later on.
Scott, I just had one question. You didn't see any channeling of water towards those formal gardens at all?
No, I walked around. I did some extensive walking around, as always, to make sure that there's nothing else. So I went, this was obvious, so I flagged this. Walked around the back
Yeah,
through
that's where
here
they would be.
to make sure that there was nothing out here. This is all lawn.
and I did the same thing.
Yeah, just to,
There's nothing out.
Okay.
John, the only thing with waiting for the site walk is the uncertainty of snow coverage. Probably more in January than now.
Then in December.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it at any time. What's next Saturday?
Well, I'm suggesting the
14th?
4th of January, but
So what do we have between now and then? Do you have any time constraints?
You just want to get it done so we can figure out what,
No,
Yeah, if we can do it
I
Saturday.
appreciate that.
I think it would be better. I think, like you say, somebody's concerned, the longer you push this out, the potential for snow.
It's greater.
I would say snow in December as well as January.
I can't do this Saturday.
Can you do this Saturday?
No, I can't do it
Okay,
until the
that's two down.
4th because,
Can you do
I'm
it?
okay.
I can. Can you?
What, the 14th?
Yes.
Yes.
Wendy?
No.
Okay. And the next one would be the 21st?
21st. I can do the 21st, if it
not
doesn't go
till
too
the
long.
4th of January, so.
Okay, 21st, I can do the 21st? 3, 4, Wendy?
Yes.
5.
Okay, 9,
21st? Now, before we move on.
9,
Okay.
9 or 8, it doesn't matter to me.
It's AM, right? Pushing the
Can't do
time.
PM, I've got Nutcracker.
But do you have any sailing?
No, I'm sailing on the 4th. I can do the 21st, so I'm good, but it will be 8 or 9.
9 o'clock, it sounds like there's a new consensus developing.
Thank you. Okay. I would need to be, I think we've got Nutcracker tickets at like 1, so I need to sort of be done by 10:30, 11.
Sure,
Okay.
we can do that.
Okay.
Before we move on, any butters, members of the public that have a question on this? All we're doing is setting it up for an examination and a site inspection on the 21st at 9 a.m., and we'll meet on site. It's a public meeting. Anything else?
Just on dates,
Yes.
noticing the calendar that came in the packet, we have a meeting scheduled for 3/17. That could be problematic for some people.
All right.
Just to bring that to your attention.
All right.
Mr. Kiernan.
It's a holy day of obligation, I think. All right. So with no further ado, we'll continue this until a public meeting on the 21st of December at 9 a.m. on site. All right? Thank you very much. Do you, oh, next one. Abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, 648 Canton Avenue.
Again, just for the record, Scott Morrison from Ecotech. This is very similar. Again, wetlands located off-site. We gained permission from that property owner to delineate the wetland resource areas.
Okay, how's that? That's most of it.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yep.
So again, there's no wetland resource areas on the site. Wetlands consist of an intermittent stream and some fringes of bordering vegetative wetland just off-site here. Stream flows down to this point through a culvert and then continues on and flows underneath Canton Ave in the vicinity here. Again, 25-foot no disturb buffer, I think stays pretty much entirely off the site. 100-foot buffer zone comes across the site through here, goes off, and then clips a corner of the front of the lot here.
When it goes under Canton Avenue, does it go through a pipe and discharge into the Wendell Park stream?
Yeah, I don't recall looking at the other side. There's definitely a pipe that goes underneath
Yes,
Canton
there
Ave.
is, yeah.
I think it goes more towards Pierce.
The high school.
The high school here. Sorry about that.
Guile.
Newcomer.
Because I was talking to the gentleman that lives across the street, and he said that
Yeah, the only issue though is we had a discharge there, and that came from Indian Cliffs.
That's
And it
correct.
discharged right into that stream that feeds into Pine Tree Brook, that goes down the middle of Wendell Park.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably headed that way, because we had a very clear delineation of sedimentation.
Yes.
And that was probably
indeed.
last spring,
I'll check into that.
last spring?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
That's right.
Or it was, what do you call it?
Drilling muds,
Drilling mud?
drilling fluids, yeah, drilling muds.
Slurry.
Sorry, it was.
Is it slurry?
Slurry, yeah.
Okay. And that's where it ended up, and it came from certainly this direction, so I suspect it leads, not that it matters,
No.
but it's just that, we're trying to make sure we keep track of, where the water is coming from.
Oh, right.
Because we actually have water on the other side of Winter Hill that has some degree of contamination that we're watching very carefully. And that's why we have some of those tree filters on Wendell Park. We put in 6 new tree filters with a state grant. No, it's a federal grant, actually, wasn't it?
Yes.
Federal grant, and town money. So that's a pretty sensitive area.
Yep.
All right, same thing, this is the same applicant, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And again, intermittent stream, the watershed's 0.087 square miles, so it's a very small watershed again, so,
Okay, and there's nothing on USGS?
no.
No.
Nope.
And, Mr. Chairman, I did look at the flags as well. They seem very appropriate to me.
Is it, for the public's benefit, is there any permit application, is there any plan afoot as to, what is going to be done there or wants to
I'm
be
not
done there?
aware of
Not
anything
yet.
specific.
Okay, so again, for the public's benefit, this is just to set the jurisdictional lines?
Scott, can you show, again for the public, where that stream is on this map
Yep.
exactly?
Stream, right about here, flows right up kind of along this wetland boundary through here, turns, enters a culvert here, flows
Under the
through
house.
under the house, through the culvert, discharges here, and then continues on down and then flows underneath the street. So flows on it, there's a culvert underneath the street right here at Canton Ave.
Right.
So this would be 700?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we've been there
Recently.
recently.
This is the other side of that same stream that caused the wetlands.
All right.
Yeah, I did see some flags on this side of the stream, so kind of assuming that there was something.
Yes.
Well, we had actually previously approved, I don't know if they're these lines, but we did approve lines there.
On the other side.
We actually referenced when we were looking at 700.
Those were on the
These
other
were done
side.
for this property here. What, 4 years
John, they were
ago?
on the other side of the stream.
What's that?
They were on the westerly side of the stream. The
Yeah,
flags
so
that we were
this is,
looking at.
this is
This is
the
the easterly
easterly
side.
side of the stream,
Right.
and then those flags would be over here,
That's correct,
About 10 feet away.
establishing the buffer zone for this project.
if that, right.
Right, but those are your current flags as opposed to
Correct.
what we flagged before.
Correct.
Okay. And again, Steve, I don't know if you can see it in the, I don't know the number, but it's 5 years ago, 4 years ago that we were there. It's not 700, it's,
It's less than 700,
It
more
was
than
684 was Schaefer's house, the house in back.
yes, okay.
684, okay.
All right, so are those lines the coterminous with, I can't remember if you did those.
They were on the
4 or 5
other
years
side of
ago?
the brook.
Right.
Yeah.
They were about 5 to
okay, I
6
get-
feet away. It's like if you have this bank is what we flagged for 700.
Yeah, so there's a stream in between these flags and what would be flagged on the other side.
Exactly.
I understand, I appreciate, thank you.
Right.
I appreciate that. Okay. Other questions, commissioners? Other abutters or members of the public that have a question or want to make a comment? Seeing
Go through
none?
and remove the flags?
I'm sorry?
Do you
Can-
remove
Can
the
you
flag?
come forward and use the mic and then identify yourself? Thank you.
Are those blue flags your markings? 'Cause
Can
I
you
was trying to
identify
find
yourself?
out. Yes, my name is Elizabeth Keegan from 652 Canton Ave. I'm right behind the house in question. And I was wondering if the blue flags were your markings so that we knew what was going on and if they're going to be taken out. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, can I ask a question on the question?
Sure.
What do you mean taken out? The
There are blue flags throughout our woods.
Yes.
They're not on your land.
No, well, there's some that are in the woods.
Yeah, but that's
There's the
on
woods here.
Wendy Kelly's land.
Yeah,
Okay,
here's a-
so I'll
the
let her
property.
ask the question. She can only ask the question.
It's her land, but
Okay.
we need to have them there at least until the board,
I didn't know if they were taken out. I mean, it's not a, deal.
once, yeah.
That's a fair question.
No, I-
That's fine.
speaking of environment, I just wanted to know.
No, they don't biodegrade.
Plastic
the flag.
flags.
I guess the answer is, once it's reviewed, I don't see any reason why we couldn't remove those.
Okay.
I agree. It's
I just wanted to get the name on that road because we couldn't see it in the back, so thank you. Thanks for your
Is that
time.
good? Okay. I don't want, I want to encourage questions, not discourage them.
Okay.
Okay?
What we do every time is, they will show by the flags where the wetlands are located, and then we check the flags every time. And then when everything's all done, then they pull them out. They don't let them become trash in the wetlands. They don't leave them there.
Okay, with nothing further, can we do a site walk after? Yep, we have a question. Yes, please come forward. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Robert O'Neill. I live at 30 Holmes Lane, which is in a butter to the property. I just wanted to know, I know you said there's no plans and things, but why do most people go forward with this procedure? Like, what is the fault, like, why would you do it if you're not going to have further plans?
It sets our jurisdictional line. We have from the resource area 100 feet, sometimes 200 feet if it's a river or a perennial stream. But it's a jurisdictional permitting process. So if they were to build a house outside of our jurisdiction, they don't have to come before us and ask us permission. If part of what the disturbance to the property is going to be is inside our jurisdiction, that requires that they come forward and have a public meeting about what they're going to do.
So in other words, they have plans to do something additional to the property?
That's my guess.
Okay.
But
That's
that's
my
why I
point, is
asked.
like, what is the reason for going through this process? If it was going to remain the same, obviously, there's going to be some change to it.
Yeah,
That-
Robin,
I
when we
anticipate that.
see this sort of thing, 90% of the time, it's going to be subdivided, and so the question is, how much can we have an influence, and how much is beyond our jurisdiction, as
Okay.
John said.
All right, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions? All right, can we have a site walk? Started at 9, so, and these aren't going to take long, so we're about 9:20 or so, something like that. And again, folks, this is a public meeting, so all are invited. With the permission of the homeowner, of course.
Yeah, we have it.
Okay, all right, good. So that's,
I wasn't going on there.
this is a second site walk on Saturday, December 21st at about 9:15, 9:20, 9:25 at that time frame. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice seeing you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for coming in. Drive safely.
Number 3 on the agenda is Certificate of Compliance, 21 Low Circle. Boy, this brings back memories.
Good ones?
Well, it's scary. It's got my signature from 1993 on it. I go, oh, wow.
People feel that memory, right?
That's a long time ago.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, you have a great memory, John, so.
Genius.
Yeah.
Good evening, welcome. This is 21 Low Circle, Certificate of Compliance.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Marion McKettrick. I'm here with Megan Barrett, who's one of the owners of the house.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us. And the Barretts are in the process of selling their house, and we discovered that there was a certificate of compliance that had not been issued or recorded for a deck that was built in the house, I think in 1989. Am I right?
99.
99, I'm sorry. So it's been there for quite some time. But because we couldn't find any records, the Barretts hired an engineer to go out and look at the property and make measurements. You have a letter from the engineer, Clifford Carlson, indicating that the deck was constructed where it was supposed to be. And he also took a look at the backyard, because this house does have a certificate of compliance for the construction of the house. It is in a wetland or near a wetland area. And so there are continuing conditions about disturbing certain areas of the backyard. So that's why he added a sentence or two to his letter saying that it looked like those areas had been left, the natural buffer area has been left undisturbed.
And the photos are helpful.
And I was there last month, and everything that you said was correct.
And I was there in 1993 when I signed this. And I was there again for the deck in 1998.
You were. You know what? I thought you looked familiar. It was a Saturday morning. I remember that.
8 o'clock.
I had little kids at the time, so early didn't bother me. Didn't bother me then.
All right, well, what we need, we have, and that's from Mr. Carlson. We have the engineering stamped certificate that I wish to certify that the finished deck conforms to the listed plans and that the adjacent buffer zone, buffer has been left in its natural state, which is what we required. So we thank you for that.
It's very pretty. You should see it.
See from the pictures.
Yes, it is.
It's really lovely.
You're not leaving Milton, are you?
No, just that house.
Any questions from commissioners? Any abutters or members of the public that have a question or comment? Seeing none, is there a motion to issue the certificate of compliance?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, unanimous. Good to go.
Very much.
Thank you. All right.
So we don't know, what is your closing schedule?
December 23rd.
So we would hope to have the certificate to record before the 23rd of December. Is that possible?
Oh, it
Problem?
definitely is possible, but we just ran into an issue from a couple of weeks ago where we actually signed something on site, but it didn't get issued for
Right.
a week or so.
So I just wanted to alert you to that date. Just-
You
Yeah,
will
I
sign this-
apologize for the last minute. We just didn't realize it. We somehow dropped the ball 20 years ago.
It's being signed right now.
Oh,
Well,
All
that's
right.
terrific. Thank
awesome.
you.
right.
Thank you. I
So
really
you'll be able to
appreciate
give it
it.
to me tonight, or I'll come back for it?
You have to come back for it.
Okay.
Okay.
From Kathleen Bowe.
Yes.
All right, thank you
Sorry.
very much.
Good.
Excellent.
Tomorrow
Thank you.
morning.
Thank you
Thank
both.
you very much.
Yep.
Okay, next on the agenda is number 4, request for extension of ORAD 1672, 1726 Canton Avenue.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's just the letter, Hi, Steve, how you doing? Good, how are you? Good.
A little warmer in here tonight than our last gathering.
Yeah,
That was a frosty day.
it was. The ground was hard, which was key.
We're all set. Good evening.
Good evening. Want to get started then?
Sure, what would you like to start with?
The ORAD, I think.
The ORAD.
Okay, so, this one. We need a microphone. So I did file a request with Kathy
Yep.
for the extension of the order of resource area delineation.
Deborah, could you, if there's a record, could you just introduce yourself?
Oh, I apologize. Deborah Keller, Merrill Engineering.
And I'm Steve Gallagher with Northland.
Thank you.
So we did obtain an order of resource area delineation a few years back. It was issued on December 20th, 2016, so it's coming up to its 3-year expiration date in 10 days or so. So knowing we were going to be here before you with the notice of intent and it being so close, we thought it'd be helpful if we requested an extension for the ORAD just so that we made sure legally everything was covered. The one thing that we came across yesterday was that the ORAD hasn't been recorded yet, so we just need to record and give Kathy the book and page. What Kathy mentioned to me was she asked if the board was okay with issuing the extension, if they could sign it, and then we'd get her the book and page and have everything all set. If that...
That sounds reassuring.
I think we were in agreement on site.
Right, and for the public's benefit, we actually were out there, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
16th of November, I think.
16th of November, and we actually walked this line, so we've already done the site walk, which we like to do, to check the line. One question I do have, though, on the sketch that I've got before me, I'm trying to figure out where, the top of bank is very clear, but there it is. Which building is being moved? Because I was trying to find where the BVW was. We looked at, which is right next to the barn that's being moved. I just want to make sure I know where it is.
The carriage house?
The carriage house is being moved. It was right.
Yes.
It was right adjacent to that. And I just want to make sure that I've got the right location for that. It looks like it's, on this sketch, is it near building?
It's between Building 8 and Building 9.
Is it right up in here?
So, to the right.
To the right.
Building 8 and Building 9 are marked on that sketch, and
Can you see that?
The carriage barn is here.
Oh, thank you.
So it's back in here, I believe.
I can point it out to you if you want.
Well, my only concern was that it's not marked.
Yeah, so there's other plans where it is marked it's right here.
What's he looking for?
Actually, you can kind of see it goes in
Structure
there.
that's gonna be
That's the
relocated.
footprint
Oh,
of the
right.
carriage.
They've got a line going to nowhere.
It's not very clear to the scan, but it's right there.
They turned out,
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I'm not, I don't have any problem with, I was just trying to get oriented as to where the carriage house, but my concern is that the BVW actually be marked there, and I can't see that. But
The
it is on
invasive
another plan,
species.
right? Because I don't want to approve the wrong plan.
right. Which plan are you looking at? Are you?
I'm just looking at the sketch that came in the packet.
Oh, right, okay. Let me get over to that, all right?
I thought it was, but...
That's all we have before us at this point.
Are you looking for the non-disturb line, Sean?
Oh, well, I'm looking for the
This
wetland line.
sketch, right?
And I
There's no
can't see it.
wetland line on that sketch,
I don't see it either.
Deb.
I don't believe that
Yeah, I think the intent of this sketch was really, I mean,
Just
it's
to
a little bit
show
kind of above
where-
and beyond what was requested, and the request was that we make a count.
Right.
And Alan kind of went
The
beyond that
trees.
and identified specific locations where certain of the trees that he'd put in the count were from. That being said, the actual official documents are the ones that we reviewed last time, so I assume those should still be in the package, but those are the ones that we looked at on the screen last time.
Yes, and I can get them up. Just tell me which sheet. That's not the one I'm looking for. Let's take a look.
existing, you want the existing conditions?
Yes.
So,
Here we go. So,
C2?
C 2.4.
C
can you see the,
2.4?
can't see the corner there. What's that sheet right
Yeah,
there?
we don't have any of the plans
That's
here,
the same
'cause they
one.
they were
Yeah,
separate.
The carriage barn is located here.
And the
So-
BVW is
BVW is the stream. We had one.
Small.
Small one here.
right, and then another one over here on the
Right,
side.
that's the
Yeah.
one I'm interested in, because we walked down
I don't believe that
here.
one was, it doesn't look like that one was noted on the original
Okay,
ORAD. But it was invasive species that we did speak about at the site that we wanted to note to be removed.
exactly. That's the Phragmites.
But it was also identified as the BVW,
Yes, sadly.
and
Right.
that's the public record, so we need it on the map. If we're going to extend a line for, are you looking for 1 year, 3 years?
Well,
You're looking for an extension.
yeah,
We need to
1
know
year.
what we're extending.
1
And-
year.
And I believe that that was properly identified as a BVW, and we're going to extend it. We need to see it on the map, on the plan that we're approving.
That was a
But we're
plan
not
for the
approving this
next
plan
item.
per se. We're approving the plan that's in the file, right?
That's correct.
We just don't have a copy of in front of us.
Yeah, we can pull
It's
it out.
not,
of the
it's
file.
not in here.
It's not in there?
No, because this is the one where we got that giant roll of plans.
He didn't flag it.
Right. But back in 2016, 2016 plans is not in there?
No.
I went back and checked the existing conditions that we have up there. That invasive species was not identified.
No kidding. Isn't that interesting?
I know it's associated with a sewer manhole. It like grows right around the sewer manhole.
That's right, out to the top of bank of the stream, actually. That's where it goes.
Yeah, I don't recall that, but I do know
Yeah.
that when we walked there, I saw the sewer manhole.
There are two invasives, the manholes by where the Phragmites were and...
Yes.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
I wonder if it's just back at the office or something. Those plans that we have were extensive, not this size. They were the big
You're
size.
talking 2015?
Yeah.
Yes, they sure were.
So they're not in the file here, nor would they be.
Obviously not.
No.
Is there another file there that you have?
No, I don't
Or
see it.
1726?
No, Randolph.
Ah, there is one, there is another one.
I don't think it was, because I would have had it on these existing conditions plans.
You know, while we're looking for that, can
Yeah,
I
sure.
just raise a concurrent issue? Thank you for showing what trees. There's a couple I would take issue with, specifically, I mean, most of them are common, and certainly, you know, Norway maples and the American beech, it's all pretty common, but you have one tulip tree in here that it would be a shame to cut down a mature tulip tree. You know, the yellow poplars, we don't see that many in Milton, and when they grow, they get big, you know.
get big.
And they do well here if you can find them. So I would ask you, that the tulip tree, and also
Where is it?
the American elm. You just showed 2 American elm, you know, and even with the Dutch elm disease, we found in Milton that if they get established, you know, if they can make it beyond 25 years, they've done well. And if it's wet enough for them, they've done well. So those 2 in particular, I would wonder about. Certainly the one tulip tree, the 2 American elms, and then I would just say thirdly, the black cherries, just because they're such a valuable tree and they're so slow growing. And what we know now about black cherry next to oak, they're like the best to have for insects and for other wildlife, so. If you could just look at that again and see, you know, before everything is cut down, certainly the tulip tree to try to save it. I don't know where it is exactly, and those 2 American elms.
The tulip tree is in Area E.
Yeah, and I was trying to
This
figure out
area.
exactly where that is, and
Area E is just
Just south of
west.
the,
It's actually west
yeah,
of the road crossing the stream.
South on Plainview.
That's exactly, south on Plainview. Very
I
good.
see, okay.
Very
Can
good.
I ask you to take, and Deborah, can I ask you to take a look at this? Because I'm not sure I found, that's not it. I don't
Take a quick look.
think. I think it's this one.
See, that's the manor house.
Right? Gotta come up east.
That's the barn.
Yep,
So this
that's
is
the barn.
walking up the stream, so you have the driveway crossing here. This is the stream, this is the first wetland. You walked into this, this is where we saw that ivy.
That's correct. Or whatever.
Yeah. I think Alan said that it was English ivy?
No, it's not, but
I
it's
don't
it's
believe
something
it's a-
exotic, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's what I read in his email.
So
Oh, I didn't see that.
take a look
So
there.
carriage barn is here, this is the sewer, so it wasn't flagged.
Huh.
I don't know if it wasn't established at that time?
I did the review on it and know that we talked about flagging it at the time of the hearing.
Are you talking about 16?
Yes.
2016.
Or 15 or something like that, yes. Because I was out there doing the peer review for you at that time. And we certainly did talk about it.
Well, not to be an I-daughter or a T-crosser, but I would feel more comfortable if, because we all were there and identified, jurisdiction, I don't think it means anything to you, but it does mean to us, we want to be accurate. Is that something that, is there any way that it can be surveyed? I don't think without somebody actually putting a stake in or a flag or something. How would
We'd have to
that?
have Brad, actually. Brad Holmes is the wetland
Right.
scientist that did this. I would want to have him go out.
Actually, Deb, anybody could do it. You could do it, or
Okay.
anybody,
Oh,
Steve could
just
do
the
it.
limit of the,
Limit of the frag.
okay.
So you don't need a wetland scientist
Okay.
to do the limit of the frag. It's pretty, you can tell where it stops.
Yeah, you can see it.
So I wouldn't,
Okay.
we wouldn't have to have Brad do it.
Oh,
Somebody
okay.
on site could do it easily. And then just survey it in, perhaps.
Okay.
So you have to put it, add it to the plan based on this field survey.
Do you want it added to the notice of intent plan?
We can make it a condition of the extension,
Okay. And to that we provide an updated plan?
yes.
Okay.
John, I didn't quite follow this. Could you reiterate what it is you're looking for?
I'm looking for the wetland delineation that should include the BBW that we all saw and talked about. And it doesn't appear to be here. This is the plan from 2016, July 25, 2016. And it doesn't appear to be here, but we all stood there and looked at it. I don't think it's going to make a difference other than being accurate.
Being correct, yeah.
And so what I'm suggesting is that we could issue the extension on the condition that that be mapped in here so that it's reflected in the approved plan.
Okay.
And Steve, I'll defer to you or anybody else here on whether or not, who needs to do it.
Yeah, I think anybody could do it.
Okay, great.
It's pretty obvious where the Phragmites
pretty defined,
stops and the lawn starts, the existing lawn starts. It's very obvious for those of us who were in the field the other day.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Most of us were there. Was everybody there?
And just to be clear, it's that one spot behind the carriage barn that we're talking about?
Yeah, that's on the south side of the stream.
With the
Yes.
two invasives in it.
Okay.
So you'd want to have it marked to include the two invasives, not just the Phragmites.
What was the
Correct.
other one?
Arthur, if the other invasive, was that the bittersweet?
No, I don't think so.
Something else?
Yeah, I
No, it wasn't
forget the
tall enough. There was nothing for the bittersweet to grow on.
I think there was another invasive.
Yeah.
But they were all mixed in together. It's the same area. It's pretty
It was-
obvious.
The other one was more clearly to the left if you're facing, the Phragmites were to the right, and then they blended, and then the other one was further to the left.
I agree with you. I think there were, different kinds of things.
Yeah.
Is everybody comfortable with this approach?
Sure.
You okay with it?
I'm not sure what the other invasive was. I don't have a,
I'm the last guy to ask. I don't know.
I remember, but I don't remember.
You think there was another invasive, but was it
It
a,
wasn't,
was it a wetland invasive or was it an upland invasive?
Yeah, because what grows in concert with Phragmites, I can't even
Very
imagine.
little, very little.
Yeah, exactly, because
Can't imagine.
Phragmites chokes out everything.
Pretty much. It becomes a monoculture.
Yeah. I just can't think of what it could be.
I can't either, but I'll be here on Thursday. Maybe I'll take a wander over.
But assuming we're gonna vote on this, can we?
we did identify it.
Condition it on trying to save these trees, the tulip tree and the two American elms?
No, that's the next
That's-
issue.
yeah.
We're not talking about that yet, Judith.
This is just an extension.
Okay.
Right.
But no, that is an issue for us. I mean,
Yes,
it's the whole
that'll be
tree
the
survey.
next item of
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
consideration.
Really don't want to commit to that.
All right, other,
You're right there.
I'm sorry to rewind for a minute here, but it's just not sitting very well with me, the idea of having anyone with any credentials going out and identifying the Phragmites. I mean, this time of year, I think it is abundantly apparent what is Phragmites and what is not, but in the spring, when the tiny shoots are growing up, they don't look anything like Phragmites, in my opinion. They're skinny, they're red, they're soft, and they're not anything like what the mature plant is. And so I'm just thinking of the precedent that we might be setting if we're allowing someone without any horticultural sort of credentials going out and making that determination.
I can solve that. Are you happy to solve that?
Yes.
What I'll do is I'll go out, put some stakes or flags out, all right, on Thursday.
Thank you, Steve. I feel
All right.
better about that.
And I'll also take a look, Arthur, for that X invasive,
Nice.
okay? I
are
don't,
you comfortable, good point, but are you comfortable with Steve doing it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
sure.
It's one of the best plant people I know.
Okay.
Happy to do it, all right?
Thank you.
I'll
Are there any other questions or suggestions from
Put
the
some-
commission?
Pins out. Pink
Are there
pins.
abutters or members of the public that have a question or wish to make a comment? Hearing none, is there a motion to extend the ORAD for, what do you need, do you know, for time?
Well, it's just until you issue the order of conditions, so,
A year?
yeah, a year would be perfect.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm hoping only a week, but
All right, so then, a motion to extend the ORAD for a period of a year on the condition that there be a new plan that reflects the additional BBW as designated by Steve on Thursday. That make sense? Is there such a motion?
So moved. You get it, Wendy?
I'll second it.
Wendy, you get it?
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on this? All in favor? Perfect, all right, good. Thank you. What do we have next?
Judith, did you want to talk about the trees? Before we-
Well, that's the
No,
notice
that's
of
the-
intent.
that's the notice of
next-
intent.
That's the next item on the
Next item,
agenda.
Right,
okay.
okay.
Right.
So the next item is number 5 on the agenda, notice of intent, 672, 1726 Canton Avenue, the Walcott Estate, continued hearing. You're on.
yes. Good evening again. Deb Keller with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors with Steve.
Steve Gallagher at Northland.
So, as you had mentioned earlier, we did meet you out at the site a few weeks back. We did walk it. The request was made for us to locate the trees within the 100-foot buffer that are proposed to be removed. We provided the sketch and the list. We provided a contact list. And I think the only other thing to talk about was, we were hoping to address the bylaw fee, or have a conversation
Yes.
about the bylaw fee. Since this is a unique site, I don't know if we want to start with the trees first, and those were the items that I
Why don't we
believe-
start with the trees?
Sure.
Okay, so I can just give you a brief summary. So the request was that we identify all the trees within the 100-foot buffer that are greater than 4 caliper inches, and then identify their species. So our landscape architect did do that, and what he came up with was 120 trees, and you can see on the list. And of those, 94 are Norway maples, which makes up 78%. And again, as we look at the sketch, there's a few select areas where we're removing trees. Most of the buffer zone is either woods and is going to remain woods, or is already cleared for some of the existing buildings that have been there for a long time. So again, it's just in select spots. It's outside of the 25-foot no disturb zone, with the exception of the 2 stream crossings in the areas immediately around them.
Well, I guess because this is still somewhat in the planning stage, I mean, it's not, the foundations have not been poured at this point for everything. I would definitely like to see kept, of the 120 trees, the tulip tree, the yellow poplar, as I talked about, and certainly the 2 American elm, which would do well since it is bordering wetland. So
Could you
should-
clarify on the yellow poplar? I don't have
That's the
that.
tulip tree.
Tulip tree.
Oh,
Tulip
okay.
tree, yeah, sorry. Tulip tree.
Yeah.
And they get enormous, and if you did save it, it would be a real asset to the estate. People would,
Well, of
and they're
course,
wonderfully
yeah.
straight
Yeah.
trunk tree that, goes up 100 feet, and they live 150 years. It's a great tree, so.
How big is this one?
I don't know, other than that it's larger than 4 inches.
Right.
So the tulip tree, and then the
They're
American.
spectacular.
The 2 American elm, and I would add to that the black cherries, because they are slow growing and they're a fabulous tree, and you don't see them that much right now. And they're distinctive, they're a 4-season sort of tree because they are so distinctive. So I'm only addressing 10 trees in all.
That's enough.
The other trees, are fairly common. I'm sure you'll be replacing, you'll probably plant something like, red maple, or, I can see you probably could plant American beech or something, but the American elm, the tulip tree, and the black cherries are worth saving.
But it depends on where they are. Is
That's what I mean.
it possible?
Is it
it
possible?
realistic?
Yeah, like I say, these.
So we don't have these placed.
Well, I can tell you what zone they're in. For example, the tulip tree location is in what is identified as the E zone. So we'll have to double check
Okay.
with Alan.
Could you point
as
that out
to
again?
where- This is, I believe he's marked this as the E, so
It's on here, I think.
somewhere up in that area.
Yeah.
So we'll have to check with him and see where it is.
Okay.
I would suggest that if I'm hoping it's not in the road, I'm hoping that F is the road swap, because that unfortunately, I'm not sure.
It looks to me like it's on either side of the wetland itself, so maybe F is part of the road
Oh,
on that
this
side.
side, and then
E is part of the
over
road
here.
on that side.
And the elms probably are in the wetland, are pretty close to
Yeah,
it, so.
it says area
No, no.
C. We have the elm in F,
This.
so there might be
Yeah.
some elms in here.
And there's only 2 that you've identified, so.
Yes.
But just to clarify, though, I think that those green areas are the areas where we're cutting things down, so it's gonna be,
In these,
it's not gonna be in the wetland itself.
Right.
Unless, the only way it could possibly be is if it's at the crossing itself, which obviously we wouldn't be
Well,
able to
you
say.
have it listed as trees to be removed from
Right.
within the 100-foot buffer.
Right, so those green areas are areas within the 100-foot buffer where we're planning to remove trees.
And what I'm saying is don't remove every single one. See if you can save these 10 trees.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't think we could commit to anything sitting here because we don't know exactly where they are. And
Okay, well-
I think frankly, probably the odds that they're not in or at the very, extremely adjacent to one of the buildings or the crossing are probably low. So I think it might be tough, but I can't speak to exactly where they are, without looking at it on the site.
Could you locate those on a plan for us? And not all of them, but I know you get a lot.
specific 10?
Those 10.
But the 10 that.
Just the
Judith-
10.
Yeah.
Deborah, could you help orient me?
Absolutely.
Where were we standing at the sidewalk when we saw that hunter on the property with the bow?
The stream crossing?
So this is
So it's-
the existing driveway.
Okay.
So we had just
Yeah.
crossed over here,
Right
and
there.
there's a cottage here, and he was walking down the hill here. I believe his truck was parked over here,
Okay.
so.
That's correct. And we were actually at the stream.
Stream crossing.
We were right there at the stream crossing, right there.
So that's the existing, we located that crossing at that existing driveway as we were.
Yeah.
And Area E, where,
Is way up top,
So-
just past where we saw the invasive. Remember?
and where is Canton Ave?
Canton Ave is way down
Over
there.
there.
So we were, remember
Okay.
the invasive plant that somebody thinks is an ivy? I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, that was in here.
That was there.
That was right in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay?
So we had walked across the stream and come into an open field, which is in this general area.
And
And
there's-
then we
there's-
walked into the tree line again to come to see the proposed crossing. We came back around, and this is about where the carriage barn is located currently.
Gotcha.
We walked back through that.
Yeah, and that little
Thank
BB,
you.
the other BBW is right there,
Yes.
right in
Okay.
the middle. Yep. Small BBW adjacent to the stream. Probably groundwater breakout area, Deb.
Yeah, I think there's a little dip in the
Yep.
ground there, and so the water sits a little bit before it spills over into the
Exactly.
stream.
Yep.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
You're welcome.
Steve, what do you think it would take, time-wise, to get those 10 trees located on a map?
I think we could probably do it this week, I would imagine.
Yeah,
you know,
we'll make it work.
Yeah, we'll be able to do that. I mean, what would be the next step, though, I guess is the question. So suppose we do provide a plan that shows where they are, you know, it may be that, I don't know, I don't want to commit, obviously, because I don't know where they are, but it's possible there are a couple that are like at the very perimeter of, you know, the areas that we're trying to save, but again, I suspect most or all of them are, you know, sitting in footprints or so close to footprints that they wouldn't be able to be saved.
Well, let's take it step by step. Let's first of all see where they are and then see maybe if a couple could be and hopefully they, 10 could be. Take it step by step, see where they are to begin with.
Okay, so if we get them on a plan, we'll send them in and we'll take a look at them.
Sounds good.
It would also be helpful to know what the DBH is
Yes.
of those 10.
Thanks.
And the 10 trees are 2 elm?
2 elm, 1 tulip tree, and 7 black cherries.
So it looks to me, oh, black cherry and B. Those 10 trees are identified, the black cherry, there's 2 in the B area. There's 1 American elm in the C. The tulip tree and another black cherry are in E. And the remaining black cherry and American elm are in F. So they are up in the upper portion.
So we have other issues to discuss, but one of them is going to be, what's the performance standard that we utilize here?
Yeah.
And I'm now accustomed to this because some people place a greater value on certain trees. I love Norway maples, but I'm the only person in the world that does. But there's some balancing going on here, and as we discussed at our last meeting, one of the issues is whether or not we use the 3-to-1 performance standard, which is, our uniform precedent, that we try to be very consistent with that. However, and I think I mentioned this at the last public meeting, we have made an exception to that when we've received open space, and we did that at Wentworth Farms. And we did it on Highland, the Burke property as well. So we've done it before. The reason it's new is because it's a new zoning regulation for us. The cluster zoning is new.
Sure.
So that we certainly would take that into consideration, so the open space would offset the need to do 3 to 1, which is good, because I know you've got 120 trees there.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a big site, obviously, too, and I don't have an exact number for the entire number of trees in the site, because it varies a little bit depending on which building you're talking about, but we've committed to doing 171 street trees, which are shown on the plans. We've provided blow-up landscape plans for typical units, and then if you average those out, as they're going to be replicated over the course of the site, that our landscape architect estimates that there's 243 other trees beyond the 171 street trees, so that gives you a total of approximately 414 trees.
I'm sorry, say it again, how many?
So if you have the 171 street trees,
Right.
and again, this number is subject to vary a little bit based on site conditions, but based on our typical layouts around each of the units, we're estimating that there's about 243 other trees, which adds up to approximately 414 trees. So that's a 3.45 to 1 ratio. My understanding is that there's also a shrub to tree equivalent that's used sometimes.
You are correct.
And if we use a 6 to 1 shrub to tree kind of replacement ratio, we have over 2,000 shrubs that we're adding,
Are
roughly.
these all native shrubs that you're adding, or not?
Some of them are certainly, but I can't speak to, I'd have to go through and, list it out in detail. But again, it's substantial, so a little over 2,100. So when you do a 6 to 1 there, and then you add it to the trees, I think you end up with about 6.5 or just under 6.5 to 1 ratio of replacement between the shrubs and the trees that we're adding. And again, those are ballpark rough numbers, but, they're definitely in the ballpark.
And then on top of that, as
Yeah.
mentioned, we have the open space,
I don't wanna
which is
leave that out.
60% of the site, which is 28 acres of the site would be protected under the open space.
Was the landscape architect directed to put in just native species or not? Do you remember?
I'm not 100% certain whether he was, but the landscape plans are in the plan set. And I know he did a more detailed around some of the existing houses to retain, and then did a typical for the 2-unit building.
Street trees.
Those are, except for the Princeton American elm, which is a little hybrid. Some white fir, white spruce, red pine, pitch pine, white pine, cedars, red cedars, arborvitae, river birch, hornbeam was just a hybrid, but dogwood, witch hazel, most of them are, I would say 90% of them are natives.
What about the street trees, Steve, can you see? They're not Bradford pears or something, are they?
No.
This is a plant list
Good, okay.
typical.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
not spread, it's not, this is not showing street trees specifically.
Okay.
It's showing, oh, I'm sorry, street trees, yes, here we are. Red maple, sugar maple, honey locust, tulip, plane tree, oak, and the Princeton American elm, which is a hybrid, which
Okay.
is great.
So
That's
Alan's not
fantastic.
messing around.
Oh, he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job. I'm very happy to see that.
Just a point of clarification, though. Steve, you had said in your calculations, the replacement ratio was 6 shrubs per tree, but our performance standard is actually 9 shrubs per tree. Isn't that correct?
Per tree removed.
Per tree
yes.
removed, yeah.
So if that's the case, then my 6.45 to 1 is going to be lower, but it's still
It's still
going
more
to be
than 3 to 1.
substantially over
Yeah, oh,
3 to
yes.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
All about
Precise.
consistency. Yes.
Thank you.
So I guess from a perspective of the tree removal, it seems like we're in a good position in the sense of providing trees for the site.
Yeah, and the
It's a fair statement.
distinction would be that these are bigger trees, and they're established on the site, so that makes them more valuable. So,
You're talking about 2 different things.
Oh, no, I understand. I understand.
I mean,
I know
what
what
I'm
you're
saying
talking
is the ones I'm asking that we're suggesting they keep are in a different category.
Yes,
than
I
what's
agree.
being planted.
Yeah, they may be. The The black cherries may be smaller. I'm just guessing. Yeah, I'm just guessing.
Well, we're gonna.
Find out.
We'll find out.
Sure.
Yep.
All right, why don't you go on to your next topic, and then we can kind of wrap it together to see what the plan of
Sure.
action is.
So, one of the things that I wanted to just ask the question and discuss it with you, which is the bylaw fee. Looking at the bylaw fee, the way that I understand it to go for this site, it's a 46-acre site where we have just about a quarter acre of wetland on the entire site. So it's a large site with the resources focusing on the stream. You take the calculation that I saw in the regulation, takes the first 10 acres is $1,000 and then $100 for every acre after. So I believe that gets us up to an additional $4,600 of a bylaw fee, of which we've split the state fee with the town and the state filing fee, which was close to a little over $9,000 that we've already filed. So with the fact that the stormwater has been reviewed through the planning office. We had the ORAD. We were hoping to maybe discuss that with you as an opportunity of maybe reducing the bylaw fee slightly, or if there was an opportunity for that. Since
So it's 5,600.
I believe it's 4,600, if I did my math correctly.
Oh, I'm sorry, right, I had 48 acres, it's 46 acres. Okay,
is, yep.
So it's 1,000 for the first
10
10,
10.
plus,
Okay.
plus 3,600.
correct.
Again, I just go to precedent. We have sometimes forgiven, not all, but a portion of the fee for not-for-profits. We did it for the Eustis Estate when they sold to New England Antiquities, because that was like a 90-acre site. We did it.
How much did we remit? It was only like $1,000, wasn't it? Wasn't much. 2,000?
I don't know. But I think my distinction was not how much we remitted, but the fact that we remitted only because it was a
It
not-for-profit.
was the nature of the
You
property.
do have a parking lot
Yeah, as opposed to a commercial
going to
endeavor.
DCR
I
property.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
Should remind you of that. That's, you know.
What do you-
I could
Say something
see
wise.
that
I don't
as
think we should
benefit.
forgive it at all.
Part of a mitigation
Agree that
package.
nonprofit should have some consideration, but a commercial project, additional ad, just,
Um,
come on.
Well done.
I
Please.
absolutely agree.
It's in the tape deck. and all.
Come on.
All right.
I'm done.
Wendy, do you have any thoughts on it?
I agree. I
With
think
Jerry-
it should remain consistent.
I concur.
Okay. I think there's a consensus that that's not going to work.
Okay. We just wanted to ask because
No, I appreciate
it's
it.
a larger than normal filing fee on top of what we've already paid, so that's why we wanted to ask.
All right, no, it's a perfectly reasonable request. And a reasonable response, right? All right, so now that we've kind of packaged it together, what's the timing from your perspective? And I'd like to see these 10 trees on the plan, and take a look at it, see whether or not there's a way to save some of them. I'm assuming some of them are big. I heard what you said about the black cherries.
Just a
In my
guess.
mind, I have elm trees as being huge, but that's coming from my youth.
Really small.
They used to be big. But I'd like to see it, but I don't want to slow you down.
Sure.
You said you could probably do it in a week, Steve?
I think, it's Tuesday today. I would say, I would think by the end of this week, we could identify them. It's just a matter
All
of
right,
getting
I guess
something out
the question is, can we get it in time to see it at our next public meeting?
Right, which is the 21st.
there. And when do you need it in order to see it at the next meeting? In advance?
Yes.
But not a certain number of days in advance, just,
We have a regulation that says something like 7 days, but nobody pays
So-
attention to it. But
Broadly
if you
speaking.
give us,
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Before the 21st is what I would suggest.
PDF electronic is best, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't expect the first two site walks to be very lengthy, and I'm sensitive to your time constraints, because I think you should be there because of your interest in the trees.
Yep.
So I think we can do it by, say, 10 o'clock, in the morning? Is that doable? Good,
I think so.
okay.
So
Jerry, you thinking about this?
December 21st, they want to do that. So a site,
He's
you'd like
combed his
to meet at the
mustache.
site?
An hour is an hour and a half.
Yes, it's true. Yes. And that's the entranceway where we met before at the Casey Farm entryway?
Yeah, that's probably the best, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Would it be useful to, instead of, we'd be starting at, where? We'd be starting at Blue Hill Ave. Would it be useful to go here and then to Canton Ave?
That probably would.
That would make sense to me, at least from, rather than Blue Hill all the way to Canton and then back.
Right.
I'm going to suggest that to Kathy.
We'll save some time.
Right,
That's good.
okay?
All right, so just watch the website, because you'll see the agenda, and
Sure.
and we can approximate the times.
Yes.
I don't think the other two will be lengthy. I don't think this will be lengthy either.
No.
All right, do we have any other questions from commissioners on this? Nothing? Abutters, members of the public? So with that, why don't we adjourn until the 21st at sometime in the morning, around 10 o'clock?
And do we anticipate if we walk the site and look at the trees and kind of have a resolution, can we move forward to a vote at that time, or do you want to see us again? Just looking for time-wise.
I don't know what other issues
We don't
we
have
we
any.
would have. I mean, we'll see you again, because when the buildings go up, they're going to be
Oh.
separately addressed and permitted if they're within our jurisdiction, yes? Or are we looking for
No,
these?
you're
don't
looking,
think
this
there
is
are
the
any.
entire property. This is the way this is being permitted. It's not individual lots. It's not like a typical subdivision where you'd have the individual lot come back for you.
Well, I would need to see, like, I'm just looking at the sketch, and I know that's not, the official engineering plan, but I'm looking at like Building 25, and it's certainly within our jurisdiction, but we don't have any, we don't have any erosion lines here.
We do. It's in the plans, not on this
Not
sketch,
down.
but in the plan set that was submitted with this notice of intent. We have full erosion control plans, grading plans, site layout plans, details. Everything is in the plan set that was filed with this notice of intent.
I'd rather address that at a public meeting here, where we can actually stretch them out and address those individually.
I mean, is there any reason we couldn't do it now? I think we have them, right?
That, you can, if you've got, I don't have them here.
I mean,
I've got
I
a set.
have a half-size
You've got them
set.
there?
Well, I haven't reviewed them for tonight. I wouldn't be ready to do it. Maybe other people would be. I haven't looked at them,
Okay.
to be honest.
Yeah, that part is going to take some time, I believe, because we need to do each one. Now, I know a lot of the buildings are outside of our jurisdiction, and as I'm looking at the sketch, and I know I'm not looking at your plans, but as I look at the sketch, I don't even see the 100-foot buffer.
That's
I
the
see the
red-
25-foot, but I don't see the 100.
Red line is the, do
Oh,
they
that's
have
the red
this
line?
one?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
The red line is the 100-foot buffer.
Yeah, so that was a scanned and copied plan, so a lot of that stuff is faded, and it's in the official drawings.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to agree with Judith on that. I know I need more time to look at those.
It's a lot of buildings.
That's a lot of business, right, it is. And I would suggest that we not do that at a site walk. We can do the
Yeah.
site walk quickly, but I think that one needs public involvement and the ability to put the plans on
And if
the
the weather
table.
conditions were anything like the last sidewalk,
What's that?
and if the weather conditions, like the coldness, I mean, you can't do that under those conditions.
That's true.
We do have a site office with a table and plans and everything, if you wanted to do it, but.
All right, I think for the public benefit, it's easier for the public to participate if we did it here, and they can actually see the plans on the television camera.
Yep, you have the
So I suggest we continue that portion of it to the next, was it January 10?
10 or 11,
Oh, it's right here on the
yeah.
Yes, it's on the schedule, and that's January 14th, actually.
14th.
And Deb, you might want to take this and put it on, this is the erosion controls?
Yes, that's the phasing plan. So that's
Exactly.
in the plan set as well.
Exactly, right, okay,
It's a
fine.
full full set of plans
Can you get just a PDF of this alone?
of just that sheet.
Yes, of just that sheet. Okay. Yep, good.
So I can send you individual sheets if that's easier to look at, like if you just want the focus on the grading and erosion control plans, just those for this section, so that you don't have to flip through, I think it's a 70 sheet.
Yeah,
set.
that would be very helpful. That would be great.
Yes.
And I can send them to you individually, PDF, would that be?
Sure, that'd be great.
Erosion and grading, right.
Yes.
Right.
Any other questions? Members of the public, anything further? All right, Deborah, did you have something else?
No, I was just peeking. I'm hoping that all of the majority of the wetland and buffer area is on one quadrant. So I was just looking to see if I could tell whether it was split between two sheets. that's all.
Sure.
Okay.
No
All right,
worries.
well, if it's one, it's great, but if it's two, that's okay as well. All right?
Yep.
Then with no further ado, we'll continue this until we see you on the 21st.
Okay.
And then see you again on January 14th.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. To Woodland Drive. Oh, this is going to be a fun one.
All right, next on the agenda is number 6, Amendment of Order of Conditions, Lot 2, Woodlot Drive. Anybody here on that? Pardon?
No one will be here tonight from the Pulte, Marishonda folks.
All right, but if you want to discuss, I shall,
I think Judith would
Disappear.
like
I
to
want to
discuss.
discuss
Yes.
the lights at the entrance to Woodlot Drive.
I should say on the record for our magic tape recorder that I'm recusing myself, so I'll be in that next room.
Okay. We recall that property actually, going up Unquity, you know what I'm talking about, Jerry, right? This is Woodlot that's off of Unquity, up from the skating rink,
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Town Farm, et cetera, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay.
So they put these lights at the entrance that's actually on Blue Hill, it's actually within the reservation because they have an easement to go into it, but it's actually on reservation land.
Correct.
Not even on Pulte property. And all of those lights because it's in a very particular habitat, it's adjacent to the Blue Hills, it's got 2 vernal pools in there, one that's certified. All the lighting is supposed to be that downward lighting, not glaring out to everybody else and all the animals and all the insects and everything. These lights at the entrance look like, a golf club or something. They're facing directly outward in all directions. They're supposed to be shooting downward. What is that called? Dark sky lighting, right?
Was that stipulated, and they just put in the wrong kind?
I think that was stipulated in the entire project that they have
I
that.
think it was too.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they have to
Yes.
change those
Yeah,
lights.
they have to
It's-
change them.
You go along Unquity Road and it's the Blue Hills and it's lovely, it's nature still, and then all of a sudden these 2 lights, they shouldn't be
And
there.
that's the area where they did some road work?
Just after that, Jerry, is the entrance to
Okay,
Woodlot.
as you're going into the Blue Hills, and the rink is on your right.
Is on, no, the other direction.
Okay.
Well, okay, but if you're going the other way with the rink coming up on the left,
Okay.
it's on the right-hand side. That's
Okay.
the entrance that goes up
All
the
right,
hill.
and it's closer to Aquity Road than it is up into their property, or is it several lights?
The property
as they
itself
drive?
actually goes right down, and they have an easement that goes down to
Okay.
Unquity, and Unquity right there is part of the Blue Hills Reservation itself.
That's that whole intersection that was reconfigured?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
down
yeah,
from
yeah,
there,
yeah.
too.
And how many lights?
2 lights are, if
Oh,
you
just-
go by
okay.
there, and they're big and they're glaring, so.
Well, it's 2 lights, they're.
Are the other ones the right kind?
All of the lights, correct?
But
I think the rest of them too, though I haven't seen them at night, whereas those 2 you drive by and you can see
Can't
them.
miss them, yeah.
Have you been up there at
No,
night?
not at night, I was just thinking, I haven't driven by there in the evening.
Yeah,
Neither
it's
have I,
quite
actually.
bright and it's facing directly out and it's.
Yeah, But I remember the discussion about the lighting, and the agreement that they would be, as you described.
The dark sky.
So
Down,
there might be
right.
more lights in the development itself.
Actually, on the street itself, Woodlot Drive, yeah. Do you know, Steve, have you seen them at night? I don't know.
I have not seen them at night. I was
Yeah.
just trying to think. I don't believe I've seen them at night.
But Judith, I remember when we went to the site walk a few weeks ago, you and I noticed that the ones that were on the street were the same as the ones going all the way up.
Okay, the
subdivision.
same type then, okay.
Yes.
So those bulbs, the tops anyway, have to be changed.
Well, the
and-
fixtures, sounds like the
The
fixtures need to
fixture
be
itself,
changed.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and
No,
what
it's
is
not
the
gonna be true.
procedure for that? Have you noticed that they're
Well, I think we would send them,
non-compliant notice?
I think we'd send them a letter, notifying them that they're not in compliance with the plans.
Would
And
it be wise to get a copy of the order of conditions and make sure that that
Okay.
was built in?
Yeah.
Steve, you didn't pick that up, did you, by any chance? The order of conditions, what it specifies for lighting?
It may be in one of those, I have not looked at it, no. I have not researched it.
Judith, is this a finable event?
I've had discussions on email with the project engineer about this.
And what has he said?
And he says, well, I've told Pulte. That's all he said. I mean, that's all he can do, really. He's paid by them.
Yeah.
Well,
So what can we do?
I'd like to
Well,
consider.
that's the next
Well,
question.
if it's in violation of the order, then I think it stands to reason that it is a finable.
Well, this may go together with the next issue at Lot 2, Judith.
Okay. And that's where
The wall.
the wall was built?
Yeah.
Yes. The wall was built
Right.
before we even got there. And it was a surprise to the engineer, I will say that. It was a surprise to the engineer. He did not know that it had been built already. He went out there and said,
Subcontractor had done it on his own.
that's correct.
So there's
That's correct. That's exactly what
pattern
happened.
of non-compliance, is there?
It's not been a
You get
pattern.
different parties involved, so.
And
Exactly.
it's the same construction company that's doing the Canton Ave project, right? The one we were just talking about,
Oh, is
Walcott
it?
Woods?
No,
No.
no, they're two different. One is, this is Pulte, that was Northland Construction. And I've dealt with them over at the Naval Air Station, both of them as well. And had similar issues.
Well, I don't really have time to go through all of the
Sure.
order of condition right now, so.
Why don't I take a look
Why
at
don't you
it?
take a look at
Yeah.
it this
I'll be
week,
happy to.
Steve,
Yep.
and we can take up this discussion.
Sure, we
on
can
the
do this by
21st.
email.
Looks like
Well, and
But the light pollution is a significant issue.
is significant,
Particularly in
yes.
that area,
Which one?
the light pollution
Yeah.
for animals is very important.
if in fact it was a condition and they ignored it, then I think the consistency of board is important and it's, should be leveling fine.
Well, I agree with you. I think it's worth talking about, and let's first of all look in here, and if it is specified,
It may be specified in the planning documents.
that's what I was thinking too.
Planning board
If we don't
documents.
have it, then because the road itself wouldn't be in our jurisdiction, it was just outside, most of it, so,
I can ask Ms. Swenson?
Denny.
Denny Swenson, thank you.
Denise.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's, and if anyone wants to drive up at night and see what the lights look like, sometime.
I'll drive by on my way home tonight.
There you go.
I'll let you know. Yeah, this is really important.
It's
It is
only,
important, because it's not
Okay.
just
Very
this
much so.
particular plot, not this
Let me do the same.
particular site. It's from now on, we know it's how important it is to have the lighting properly done, and it doesn't detract from us at all, but it helps the animals quite a bit, so we'll take this up again on the sidewalk?
sure. Add to the sidewalk.
And so what did you want to do about Lot 2? Is there some idea about maybe
I
finding
think
it?
we agreed at the sidewalk for those of us who were there, that there would be a fine.
Gonna allow them to keep the structure that they built?
Correct.
Yeah, I know, it turns into just cost of doing business though for some of these people.
That's the question.
You know, it's like, oh, we can ignore what the Conservation Commission says and pay 2,000 or 3,000.
The developer didn't know it had been done by the subcontractor.
That's
until
correct.
it was already done.
Ask for mercy instead of permission, I mean,
They had all
It's happening more and more
the
too.
parts available on a particular day, including the equipment, so they just went in and did it evidently. It's one of those things.
These houses are selling for $1.3 million? Five? Okay. So I think that's something we should think about too, when we think what kind of fine. We shouldn't do like $1,000, we should think these houses are selling for $1.5 million.
May I make a suggestion that the fine be tied to issuance of the certificate of compliance?
Absolutely.
Sounds good?
Or, I'm sorry, this is an amendment to the order. So tie it to the amended order. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the amended order doesn't get issued until they pay the fine.
Can we also tie the streetlights into that as well? Or is that too much of a stretch?
Harder to do because it's really a lot versus the development.
I'd probably keep them separate.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's a good question.
Let's not discuss the amount of fine right now. Let's think about it, and at the sidewalk, we can come to a consensus and have some reasons for it and
I
vote.
think that's fine.
Okay. Give it some thought.
That's fair.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that concludes.
And so you'd like to extend this discussion to the sidewalk?
Yes, please.
Got it.
so that's gonna be added to the.
Well, we'll just talk about it.
Oh,
We don't have to go
We're not
by.
gonna
Well, I
go,
better get up there.
we're not gonna
before-
go to the
Oh, no,
location.
Swing by.
I'll find it, I'll find it.
Jerry, the view from the top of that site is
Oh, I've driven up
spectacular.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Swatted
have been up
by.
there, but it was a lot.
It's
say again?
fabulous, yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering if the light, if the transportation folks, not the state, because of the new intersection, you know, they might have something to say about the type of lighting that's there.
Well, the light isn't at that intersection, it's at the, the Woodlot Drive itself.
Oh,
The entrance to the
at the
development,
Okay,
that's
is
where
that
it is.
about 50 yards up from that?
Yeah,
intersection?
about that.
Okay, all right. Sounds like midway between the rink
Just about.
and.
Yeah, just about.
I seem to remember there being a streetlight right in front of that house, though, when we went.
Is there? I don't recall. Yeah.
I know there was a mailbox.
Welcome back.
Well, I don't know who the attorney is, but he's gonna be busy.
Okay.
Did we lose Steve?
John,
I thought he went to get you.
We're on seven.
You get lost. Okay, number 7, notice of intent, 693, 711 Randolph Avenue. The patient ones. Almost a repeat of last time. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Brian Levy. With me is Paul Holland for HCMW Apartments. This is the 8th session of the public hearing since we refiled the entire application in April 2019. A RFP was sent out to 4 consultants on October 8th. One consultant, CEI, responded on October 15th. On November 1, I sent you an email saying we agreed with or accepted the response from CEI. We're fine going forward with them. So the first thing we wanted to ask you tonight is where we stand with the peer review.
I think we're fine with CEI, since I believe that's the only official formal response that we've received. We sent out 3. One, we had a preliminary, and I'll mispronounce the name of Mr. Chechia.
Chesia,
Chechia.
Chessi.
But that wasn't quite the scope that we
Right.
issued the formal RFP, and he did not respond to that. We sent it to a third, and I can't remember.
Amory.
Okay, and they did not respond, or they couldn't respond in a timely fashion. so
That's
they
correct.
withdrew.
And Chessier actually did say he was going to respond by the end of November. He did not.
And I believe that we had committed formally to CEI to move forward, but I'm not sure that that's actually happened.
That's correct. It hasn't happened yet. So tomorrow morning, first order of business.
We can, that was done sort of administratively because it was the only one that we had. But if anybody wants to weigh in, I had suggested that we just move forward with them because that's the only response we had.
And you did take a vote to allow them to actually, to choose them.
I'm sorry, say that
You
again?
took a vote to choose them.
Yes.
When was that? That was, did we have a quorum, though, at that time?
Yes. When we were at 1439? Was that where it was? Where was?
No, it was over at the golf course. 999 Randolph Ave.
On which
The old
occasion?
golf course vote.
On which?
Which hole?
Yeah, that was on hold.
We had two meetings there.
We had
It
two
was the
meetings.
second meeting we had there.
So that was the last one.
That's correct. Right.
The date? Anybody know the date?
It would have
So we have formalized it, all right?
Yeah,
With
it's
a-
it's in my notes.
So, Mr. Chairman, what else do we need to do to, besides
Moving
call them
along,
up? As
I thought it was underway, and apparently it's not, but they will be formally
Notified
apprised of this
tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning? Then it's up and running.
This is not a peer review, correct?
No, it's not a peer review.
Not a peer review.
I'm using the wrong terminology.
Okay,
Consultant.
just- okay.
Excuse me. You're right.
That's true. We've gone through that many times. So where are you? Do you have any update for us in terms of the
Just
appeal
been waiting for
process?
the, sorry?
No, in terms of your appeal process with the town and the abutter on the comprehensive permit?
That, I believe, is up and still in the Superior Court.
Any light at the end of the tunnel in terms of timing?
I don't know.
Is this the same appeal that you do as a guesstimate several months ago that around November you should be hearing?
It's January.
It's now January?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Just out of curiosity, where is it? Is it Norfolk County? Is it already been
I have
particular judge?
I have different counsel on working on that, so
Oh, okay.
Brian wouldn't.
Not familiar with that.
Okay. All right. And we're not, I'm not
It's the wrong
suggesting.
information if I told you. I just know it's in January. I don't know what.
Okay. No, and I appreciate that, and we're not suggesting that we can't move forward until that's resolved.
They're
I'm
two
not
separate
suggesting
issues,
that.
so
What's that?
I think they're completely separate. So
Yes, I agree. I agree.
So what else do we need to do to sort of activate CEI? Anything else that we need to do at our end?
I don't believe so. The
think
questions
so.
are out there. You have seen the
We saw the
RFP,
scope.
so we've seen the scope, so we now
Saw the
need to
response?
see what their
You
response is.
said it was fine.
Yes.
Okay.
And what about a check? That gonna hold things up? Do you need a check?
We do, but I have no
Good.
idea.
We need a check. I'm sorry, I don't know the process, though. I'll have to figure that out. Maybe Kathy can tell me.
If you can, you're gonna talk to them tomorrow anyway,
Yes,
so why don't you ask them how they want it, how they want to be paid,
sure.
okay?
I'd be happy to.
So Steve, I think we've exchanged some emails. If you
Yes,
email me, we'll
Of course.
make sure you get the check immediately.
perfect. All right, thank you. And I said this before, and I wasn't being facetious, I do salute you for your patience. And it's been an incredibly long journey for Paul. I do appreciate that.
So one thing, in that vein, I wanted to suggest that in order to sort of make the consultant review process as meaningful as possible, rather than come back a month from now, that we continue this hearing until February. And the reason for that, CEI said that they were going to take at least 3 weeks to do their review. And I hate to receive something, a day or two before we come back in front of you and have them come in and do a presentation. That's not going to be useful. I would propose, with your approval, that after the CEI issues its report, and obviously you're going to get a copy of it, and we'll get it, and our engineer will review it, that our reviewer, that DeSalle Burke respond to the peer reviewer and have a dialogue and talk about the issues. There may be some technical issues, some minor issues, some underbrush that they can clear away, and then there may be some more major issues that'll crystallize. Allow them to go back and forth. So have the initial report from CEI, have DeSalle Burke respond in writing after some conversations, and then after CEI issues sort of a second report, come back here. Hopefully by that point, the issues will have crystallized, and we don't need to bother you with the technical issues, hopefully, which will get cleared up. And, you know, if there are half a dozen major things that need to come to this board, we can have that conversation. So I wanted to put that on the table.
That makes sense. What are you suggesting for a date? Are you
I
looking
don't
at
know what your
February?
February hearing date is,
That's the 11th.
11th?
unless you want to give us a special hearing dates, because it's going to take, you know, I assume that's going to be a pretty meaty session.
That's true as well.
I'm not sure I'm understanding what
Yeah.
you're proposing. So you're saying that you would like to have a dialogue with CEI before the public and our board sees the report?
No,
No.
that's not what he's suggesting.
No,
Okay.
no, everything that, any correspondence that goes back and forth, copy Steve, we copy Kathy, everybody gets, they presumably send everything to
Sent
you.
yes.
They're
But
working
the
for,
public
they're
doesn't
working for
see
us.
that.
So they submit the report to us,
Correct.
and you get a copy. They happen to be paying for it,
Yes.
but
Right,
they're
it comes to
working
us
for us.
first, and then we,
And then I think what you're suggesting is that, you know, the engineers are going to have your engineers are going to have an opportunity to look at CEI's report to us, and they can make comments on it. And that
that makes,
seems to make perfect sense.
yes, it does. Absolutely.
Right.
So that.
Particularly, I like the idea of working on the technical details and then bringing the policy details, policy matters to the board from that.
I
Right.
think what you're saying is that
Yeah.
the amount of time that may be necessitated to do this review thoroughly
Yes.
might be better done outside the February 11th meeting.
Right, so in order to crystallize the issues would be the best way of putting it. I'm not looking to take the project out from under the public eye, okay?
No, you're just
There's going to be a
asking for a
complete
special meeting.
exchange in writing by email between DeSalle Burke and the consultant, with copies always to Steve and Kathy. So nothing's going to get hidden.
Correct.
It's just that it'll allow them to do a set of comments, then there'll be the response to comments, and then there'll be a further reply to those, and the issues always, you know, get narrowed down so that when it comes here, we've got, okay, here's our 5 issues that we need to talk about with the board.
And allow sufficient time for that.
Sorry?
And allow sufficient time for that to
That would,
occur.
if we could have a special meeting rather than sitting in our usual perch here until 10, 11 o'clock at night, that would be great.
And I don't think that a response to comments was in their tasking, as I remember.
It wasn't, it wasn't.
So would you be,
We're going to end up paying them more than the money that's there, and I'm sure they'll keep track of all that stuff.
fine, okay, fine, as long as you're agreeable.
Yeah,
That's-
we know this is not going to be what it says in the document.
Okay, but hopefully closer than not closer.
Yeah, it
Right.
depends. I mean, maybe it won't take them as long as they think to do it.
Right. I just wanted to get that on the table.
Right. But just so the public is clear, that, you know, we will have questions that we're going to turn back to our consultant, and they're going to respond back to us, and you'll be involved in that question and answer as well.
Right.
But it's not, and I know my concern has been with the peer review, and your concern has been, Jerry, that this is not a ping pong match outside of the public realm, but rather we're going to try to shorten the time frame at the public meetings by identifying, as you said, crystallizing the issues and getting answers to those issues so that we can put them on the table and shorten our time commitment, I think.
I should let you know that I'll be gone from January 5th through 29 February.
January 5 to 29?
29 February,
Really?
yes.
Wow.
It's in my contract.
Who's your agent?
Really?
Pretty good.
So it'll be important then to have Kathy as the go-between,
Yes,
Yeah.
to keep her in the loop on the emails.
right. And I think it's also important that, whatever we can get done before you leave would be important to get this started, because I think we value Steve's input.
So get this signed, is there a contract that you're going to be signing with them, or?
With whom?
CEI.
Oh, sure. I'll get this talking about his contract.
Yeah, no.
It's just an email that says, you're hired.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll do a phone call first.
Yes.
And then an email
okay,
confirming.
okay.
I think, did you see a contract placed to sign on their proposal? I don't remember it. Okay, well, just take a quick look at the bottom.
No.
Okay.
Just a letter to Kathy.
Right. Fine. We'll get that going tomorrow.
All right, well, yeah, we'll get it started tomorrow, and I think we all encourage transparency in this process so that everyone knows what's going on.
So if we could pick a date other than the usual meeting date when we are here until late at night, that would be,
I don't know if we're at that stage at this point. I'm not sure it's going to be all that complicated.
May I suggest maybe a Saturday morning? A continued site visit Saturday morning? Sit here? Come here?
Well, we've done that before. We've
Yeah,
had,
and you could provide,
I agree with
coffee and
Tom. I think
donuts.
it's a little bit premature for that.
Okay.
meeting. We don't have the documents in front of us. It might be sooner, it might be later.
All we need is
If they
48
set a
hours.
date now, we're just gonna have us in.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, we need 48 hours to make sure that it's publicly notified.
And this is for my.
I'm not
purpose.
following this.
This is as if it's from the beginning, for the new independent analysis of things. That it's not a review of something that's already out there existing. I'm sure they're gonna use it for references, but it's their report as if they just came onto the site, and they're gonna give us their engineering report with respect to the work report.
you're correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I would imagine, quote, a peer review doesn't take as long.
I don't know. We don't do peer reviews. That's really a ZBA issue. Planning board, too.
They said it was, they estimated 3 weeks.
they
3
said
weeks.
3 weeks in their letter.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I don't think that there are insurmountable problems to functioning, but I appreciate the fact that, I don't know how you always end up at the end of the agenda, because I know that's happened before,
It's not
so
me.
maybe we can try to speed that process as well. Although, sometimes it makes sense for efficiency purposes to get the quick ones out of the way quickly, and I know that hasn't worked in your benefit in the last few times. So we'll try to work to make it more efficient for everybody.
Can we put in a formal request to Kathy? She's the one who sets the agenda, correct?
Yes.
So,
Can you? Yes, yes, we can.
Good.
We can.
okay.
Because you set the record last time, and I honestly, Paul, I honestly thought you were just looking for a continuance, and it never dawned on me that you were sitting there for something else. So once again, I thank you. All right, so I think we can work towards greater efficiency for everybody, and we'll work on the agenda so that
3 weeks, that's
it
the
doesn't
end of the
continue.
year.
But I do think that if we get our homework done by use of the engineers, it will be much faster for us at the public meeting, keeping in mind that all the information, all the data is going to be publicly accessible. But I really think we can do it in a regularly scheduled meeting. If we need to, and we anticipate bigger problems, then we can address that. I mean, we're not afraid to put on an extra meeting in a month.
So if your February meeting is February 11th,
Yes.
we would just ask if we could get put on first that night. Let's just do it right now.
That's not an unreasonable request.
Okay, well, it's fine with me. The only time that we've ever had anybody, if a town official.
Town
if the
projects.
town project.
Or
I
a
think
state
that-
project, we put them on.
yeah.
But,
But I don't think we have any. That I'm aware of.
Okay, so are we continuing to February 11?
Yes. Good to go?
Sorry?
I have to ask the public if they have any questions. I don't see any and I don't hear any, so I think with your assent, we will continue this until February 11th. Thank you.
And we can address continuances and agreed upon admissions of guilt before the meeting starts, right?
Yes. Okay. All right, good. Thank you both.
Thank you very
thanks
much.
very much. We'll be talking with you real soon.
That's the criminal court.
So next on the agenda, we have, this is an informational agenda at 600 Canton Avenue, Winter Valley. You know what that is?
Yes, there's an email behind you. They would like to meet on site at 885 Highland Street, evidently.
Yeah, that, I actually tried to look at that and I couldn't figure out why.
85, I mean on the GIS?
Yes.
That's because it's the 600 Winter Valley is all a huge lot. Comes out to Highland Street in two locations. That's why. The 85 is directly opposite the not hostel, but hospital
Yeah.
driveway.
Right.
It's just literally uphill from the hospital driveway by a
Is
few
that where
feet.
they want to pave, that driveway that goes to the hospital, do you know?
Yes. I asked the gentleman yesterday,
Yeah.
Devin Howe. And
There are
I s-
enormous white pines in there, possibly the tallest ones in Milton. That's all Olmsted, you know. That whole
Yes.
development is Olmsted.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yeah, the original.
I asked him the question, the leading question, are you planning to widen the driveway? He said, no. We'll see.
It's all wet along there. It's nothing but jewelweed and skunk
It's,
cabbage.
yeah, exactly, and it's 73A, I think, which is, it's a wetland soils.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a wetland soil, all in there. So they
When
would
were we
like,
there last? I know we walked in the direction
When
of
was
Highland
that?
Street.
Yeah, and why? Oh, for,
I don't think it was the last issue that.
something?
Yes,
No.
that was the last time we were
That
at
was
Winter
the
I
Valley.
last
thought it was
time.
before that. You're right, that's the last time we were at
There
Winter
was something
Valley. But it
before
was
that,
before
too.
that.
Yeah,
Because we walked in that
we
area.
did.
And I didn't know if they were expanding at one point.
Yeah. Yeah.
the last thing I was involved with was about 2 years ago. They
Yes.
did something to a parking lot
Yes.
at the top of a hill.
That was, yeah, the
Right.
dumpsters and everything, yeah.
Right, they wanted to put additional parking in, and you said no. And it didn't get put in. They were doing some dumpster work and things like
Yeah,
that.
I
Cleaning
remember
up,
That's the
that
one
as
we
well.
worked on,
cleaning up around the dumpster at the top of the hill.
and the bottom of the hill.
And they put in a
Yeah,
new
you're
drainage.
Yes,
system at the top.
swale or
Yeah.
a new pooling area, right, at the top of the hill. Right,
Correct, but previously, we had walked in the back area.
okay.
It is beautiful. And wet.
Yeah, I remember that too. I don't remember what the reason for it was though.
I don't either. It may have been informational, they were, thinking about expanding and they didn't. I'm not sure.
And that was old historical plantings and
Still,
landscape.
still.
And doesn't this
yeah.
back up to the Whitney?
Yeah, it
House?
does,
Yes, I
yeah.
think so.
The Lee House, George
Lee.
Lee.
So add this to the sidewalk?
Yes. Sidewalk?
21st?
Yes.
Are we able to do this if I have to skedaddle at 10:30?
If we started at 8, we could do it.
I'm happy to start at 8.
I'm starting a union.
Do I hear 8:30?
8:30 is fine.
How about that? It
Right.
sounds like a compromise to, so
Okay,
that, so that Ingrid
yeah, I
can
just have
participate.
So,
concerns. I've got
so to speak it back to 8.
tickets downtown.
8:30, 8:30,
8:30.
Okay.
okay. Sidewalk, 8:30, 21st December.
That ensures an early out.
What's that?
That ensures more of an early out.
Yes, yes, it does.
All right, so what, next we have notification MWRA, Section 22, condition assessment and environmental permitting. I think we've all seen this.
Yes, we spoke about this at our last meeting in this room, I think, as additional business as well. All it is a notification. There's no action we need to take.
Correct.
Okay.
But this seems to follow almost the same path as the sewer.
Yes, that we walked.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not unusual to have those lines
Together.
running together.
Right.
Is that, I haven't even looked. Is the piping that they put across the bridge from River Street to Central Avenue, or to Elliott Street, is that still there? You know, that was a temporary sewer? It ran along, it crossed over above ground, and then it ran along the bike path.
Correct. I haven't been down there for a while, but that's a good place.
I don't know.
I don't remember. I was through there today, actually. I didn't notice it, but that doesn't mean anything.
All right, so.
They oftentimes
that's all
macadam
required
it to
do.
protect it, so it's hard to see.
That's correct. That's right.
All right, next on the agenda is additional business.
So, first of all, you please look at the dates for meetings. We got that for next year.
I'm sorry, look at the what?
The dates of meetings for next year. That's the most important thing. John, you have something to sign.
You do?
Yes, remember I told you at the very beginning, from the selectman's office?
Yes.
A colored piece of paper?
It's a budget.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Right, okay.
And I want you to know that our budget has been the same since 1993. It's changed a dollar.
Couple of quick updates. 166 Granite Ave started work today. They've gotten some material out of there. The erosion controls are in.
I'm sorry, say that again?
166 Granite Ave.
Oh, they did?
They started some work today. They hope to complete it tomorrow.
I missed, I didn't see it this morning.
They probably weren't there this morning, but they were there. I got there about sometime early afternoon. And they only worked half a day, they said. So anyway, that's a good thing, 166. They asked about certificate of compliance, and I said, when it's
A little early on that.
when it's stabilized. This was a lawyer, okay? It's okay, no offense from the lawyer, but he asked about COC. It was I laughed too.
You guys are all alike.
Exactly. 1439 Brush Hill, just FYI, the swale on the ditch, the ditch before you get to the culvert is now filled with gravel, and the erosion controls are placed where they were supposed to be on the plan. So I just saw that just before the meeting tonight, almost in the dark. So you should know that that's happening. And we don't know what the status of the appeal is.
I'm stumped. I mean, I was told, and I actually got an email too after my conversation, that the neighbors are going to appeal. Because my conversation, I talked to Nick Benke, and he indicated that the neighbors had decided to enter an appeal. And I talked to Susan and Arthur Murphy, and they had been so informed as well. I think one of the issues is that we have a 10-day appeal period, and we all signed that on site, but because of vacation schedules, the order of conditions did not issue, which is a term of art, until at least a week later. And as a consequence, the 10-day appellate period moved forward. So I had...
We may still be in it.
Yeah, they are.
They're still in
And
it.
as a consequence, we had already been informed that the asphalt plants were going to be open because of the warm weather yesterday and today. So the Murphys were trying to move forward with that, but they didn't know if the appeal had been filed, and then it was a late issuance, and then everybody discussed the fact that the 10-day period extends from the date of issuance, and we're still in it. So as of Friday, they weren't going forward. because I think everybody I explained to them that you're at risk if you do something under the permit during the appellate period. But having said that, I didn't think they were going to move forward. So I don't know if something changed. I have not seen an appeal, but we wouldn't be the first ones to get notice of it anyway.
I think I was there late last week, and they were just bringing in the straw wattles. So, and then now they're on site and staked. And again, the ditch on the easterly side, as you go down the hillside toward the culvert, is full of gravel. So they've done some major work there.
Well, maybe over the weekend, they had a meeting of the minds.
Possible.
I hope so.
Sure. Couple other small things. Cunningham Park, they have started at the Edge Hill side to remove, or actually consolidate some of the material they put in the wetlands.
That's parallel.
Right,
To
exactly.
consolidate, what do you mean?
Consolidate, which means take it from here and move it into the middle. That's what they've done so far, and make a big pile in the middle.
They're not taking it out?
They haven't yet.
Not yet.
They pulled it back and piled it on site in one area.
Right.
And I would suspect that the next thing is to have the heavy equipment come in and
To move it.
move it.
Exactly.
How have they moved it thus far?
Probably with the equipment that's doing the excavation.
But that's what I'm asking. Are they using
they-
excavators in?
They'll need to truck it. They'll need to put it on a truck.
But how do they get it from its current position? Are they putting excavators in the wetlands?
Oh, probably. They were supposed to have contacted us before they did anything, of course. We had an agreement.
Yeah, we did.
So, yeah, exactly. That's why I bring it up.
We did talk at the meeting, though, about the type of equipment that would be used in order to.
Yes, oh, yes.
Haul it back.
Low ground pressure. We talked about low
Right.
ground
So
pressure
I suspect-
material. Yeah,
They took that as an okay on our part to use that equipment.
right.
Well, I don't know what equipment they're using, but I know we pointed out, and I mentioned that there are scars on the trees from what
Correct.
they used before.
Yes, oh,
So we
yes.
said, don't do that again.
Exactly, exactly. So, at the same location,
There was no equipment, by the way, at the site.
no, nothing.
Okay.
Same location, Cunningham Park. The tot lot has been planted. It's got furniture, it's got fencing, it's got all kinds of little, little tot lot things. It's looking great, and the entire hillside is really well stabilized. I was surprised
By growth or by some kind of?
by growth, Grass, the grass is growing. It's amazing. The weather has been evidently
Global
perfect.
warming.
Yeah, evidently. I was really surprised, really surprised.
What kind of grass did they plant?
Don't know, you can't get in there.
Some invasive.
No, it's just a Bermuda, a lawn grass. It's some kind of, Bermuda grass, I would imagine. But it's looking really nice, which is really nice to see. And lastly, there is a meeting tomorrow morning on site at, is it 4 something Blue Hill Ave? Blue Hill?
Parkway?
Parkway,
I'm sorry,
at
Parkway.
Post Pond, yeah.
Yes, by Pope's Pond. I cannot attend that, but on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, there's a staff meeting to which I have been invited as well.
Yep, that's the ice house.
Ice House.
How did it turn into a 40B? I thought we were going to have condos, I thought we were going to have mixed development.
Yep.
That's exactly what Mr. Clark told me. He
I
said
thought we
we
were gonna
zoned
have a
it,
little-
zoned it for mixed development, and now we've got a 40B coming in.
Jesus. I mean,
Did
just the
you have
size of it.
anything you wanted to,
Yes, what I've got here is the Ice House Chapter 40B application's been filed with Mass Housing. Here's a letter to the selectmen saying that pursuant to this application for eligibility, the town is invited to comment through the select board, and we have a potential role in commenting
Definitely.
on this. I have a fact sheet on Chapter 40B. I've got the Chapter 40B Handbook, Zoning Board of Appeals, and here is the comprehensive permit application. So we've got 89 parking spaces. There are 56 units that are planned. 89 parking spaces, which is a ratio of 1.65. The open space will remain 78%. There are 11 one-bedroom, there are 27 two-bedroom units, and 4 three-bedroom units. This is a 2-acre site, and if, was everybody on the, it's dense, sure
It's
is.
dense.
And I don't know, Jerry and Wendy, I don't think you were on, or maybe you were when we looked at the last Ice House proposal.
I was not. We were not.
If you're looking at it from Blue Hill Avenue, the high school's at your back.
Right.
And the roadway that leads up to the high school, and you're looking right at it. One of the issues that we looked at before, well, we have many issues. One is it's a very sensitive area at the Pope's Pond site. It's actually very beautiful.
Right.
It is,
And you can, we actually did attempted to circumnavigate Pope's Pond. We didn't quite make it, because at the Canton Avenue end, the property gets pinched, and it's 639 or 659
That's the
Blue Hill
abandoned
Avenue.
house?
Yes.
No more, now it's
No
being
longer.
renovated.
Being renovated.
Yeah.
And at the time, we were trying to figure out, can we buy, the house is in foreclosure? And so I called the broker several times and tried to get a response, can we buy a sliver of land which would allow public access to get from Canton Avenue into the land that we actually own. I mean, it's a Conservation Commission that's got title to it. And I'm not sure how far that title goes around Pope's Pond, but go back to the standing on Blue Hill Parkway. If you're looking at the Ice House, the land to the right is not wetlands, but it's owned by the Conservation Commission.
Right.
So we are the abutter. So what we had done is we had discussed sort of a conceptual plan for public access to go right from Blue Hill Parkway right through to Pope's Pond. And then we had talked about improving that whole, there's a beautiful pathway that's, it's very nice. And it's like you're in, I don't know, you're in the Appalachia somewhere, it's beautiful. And you don't know how close you are to houses and all. There are two problems. On the Canton Avenue end, you can't get from the pathway to back to the Summer Street side where the field is.
Right.
You can't get through there. So we had said, well, what about a bridge? Is there any way to bridge it? Because the other end has been bridged. So there are a couple of proposals. One was to get a little piece of land to get directly out to Canton Avenue. And then you could walk along the sidewalk and then go back along the Summer Street side of the pond. Or we could bridge it. And that was something that we've discussed a
With
couple of
some
times.
Northeastern University profs and,
What about the Eagle Scout? Did he ever do
that was,
little-
no, I haven't,
That's a little,
that's another location on the same
That's on the
side.
other
Blow it
side.
up?
well,
Bridge.
no, it's interesting because the reason we went to the Northeastern professor is because they did the bridge at the other end.
As a class exercise, class
And
design
it's a very
exercise.
solid bridge with one problem.
Right.
And that problem is it's not handicapped
Handicap.
accessible. There's a lip of about 6 inches, and I have no idea why they didn't correct that.
I think it's eroded. I don't think the lip was necessarily that significant. It seems like every time I go there,
Really?
yeah.
It's steel. I don't think there's any, it's a steel abutment.
She's thinking it's eroding outside.
Oh, that's for sure.
Right,
Yes, that's
ground
true.
On either side of it. Yeah.
But there's like a plate where you get to the bridge, and then there's like, it's almost like a curb.
Yes.
It's very strange, and I think it's probably easy to fix. You could just put like a ramp. But the reason I'm saying all this is that one of the things that we're going to comment as to what's needed. What would be the public good that the developer could be encouraged to perform in this area? So one would be a bridge at the other end. Another would be fix that so that it's handicapped accessible. And then y'all remember when we went back to Turner's Pond, Charlie Gamer came in and pushed for the handicapped stone dust
Yes.
pathway around Turner's Pond
Yes.
because it's handicapped accessible. And it's not, I mean, it's whatever, biodegradable, it's pervious, it does everything it's supposed to do.
It's not working. I took a run
Oh, really?
around there today. that part that was wet where they were supposed to put, to deal with the water
Yes.
on the north side, that's always been wet,
They're closest to your house.
closest to my house.
Yeah, that
I
is-
ran around it a couple hours ago. It was terrible. It was
There was
absolutely
some pipes that were supposed to go underneath.
Yeah,
And they're not
exactly.
working?
That is, it's not working.
I
It
think-
was
Sorry to hear that.
terrible
I
today.
think they're clogged.
Sorry to hear
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
What did you say, Wendy?
I think the drainage pipes are clogged.
Maybe that's it.
From my experience, they worked for
Many years.
6 months.
They did work. They did
Really?
work for a while. Yeah, they did work for, it may have been, maybe
Always
more
been
than,
clogged.
more than 6 months. I mean, it worked for a while, but it was a mess today.
Shucks.
Yeah, it was really
I
bad.
was involved in permitting that.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Shucks. Shucks.
So these are some of the things that we could think about asking the developer to do,
But
in
the idea was
conjunction with the
great,
apartment.
yeah.
But are you saying that it's too late to create a loop all the way around the pond because that parcel with the previously abandoned house that's now being renovated has been sold?
Yeah, is that a closed door?
Sold. Well, I don't know, I suppose we could go to the new owner and try to
Yeah.
buy, it's just maybe 4 feet or 5 feet or something, just to get through to Canton Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
But if that person says no, it's private property.
It's worth a shot, though.
Oh, sure it is. Right. And the other alternative would be not to exit out onto Canton Avenue, but rather to bridge
Bridge it,
over
yeah.
Yes.
Pine Tree Brook,
Yeah.
and then just get to the other side where the field is on Summer Street. And that would allow people to walk all the way
That
around.
may be the better approach.
Yeah. Right. So these aren't exclusive. I mean, we're looking for things that we can get here from a
Well, in
benefit.
addition, can we also express our position that this is too dense, it's too big, it's inevitable, it's gonna do damage to have that many people day in and day out right next to the
How
pond?
about 89 cars?
Yeah.
And how many trips per day? There's
Yeah,
another ratio that
exactly.
they calculate that. And at the
Another
last,
intersection that seems to be having increased traffic.
I mean, I think,
Parkway, Unquity Road, and Canton.
Canton Ave, I went through there tonight. Boy, it was tough.
during our the presentation of, when they were trying to do this mixed-use development and have a store in there, one of the issues that came up is that the kids that live on the Blue Hill Avenue side use that as a cut-through. I mean, there's a major pathway where the kids walk to school.
Yeah.
The school children, the kids, they're crossing
Yeah.
Blue Hill Parkway. And that's because of what you just said, that increase in traffic. Those kids are crossing, there's no light there, there's no
There's no
traffic.
crosswalk.
No
There's not even a
That's
crosswalk.
right. There's
Yeah.
not a crosswalk, that's
Yeah.
correct, yeah.
Really
Yeah.
taking your life in your hands.
And now you're putting in 56 new units.
This is surprisingly
Now,
dense.
you said technically we're in a butter.
Yeah.
So how, will there be some conflict of interest issues coming up as we look at their project and we're also the abutter? Or is it won't be an issue?
No, I don't think
I
so.
think there's no conflict. We're consistent both as an
As
abutter
the abutter,
and as
a
the
landowner.
conservation,
Good.
we're like
Right.
that.
exactly, okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No conflict at all.
Right.
But 89 parking spaces, I mean, can we take a vote or, let the town know, let the developer know we are opposed to this as it's being presented, in its
Oh,
basic form?
it was very unusual for 7-Eleven, Randolph Avenue, to come to us at the same time they went to the ZBA for a comprehensive permit. That's the only time in my experience that's ever happened. Usually, they get the comprehensive permit first, then come back to us.
Right.
And to prove how unusual it was, we actually denied the permit under the town bylaw.
Right.
Because they obliterated our 25-foot non-disturbance zone. But once they got the comprehensive permit, then the town bylaws disappear.
That's right.
So there are no zoning, there are no municipal bylaws that have any impact. We have to then impose only, implement the state regulations. So they'll have to come before us. So we don't want to prejudge it.
The Ice House?
What's that?
The Ice House will have to come?
Yeah. Well, no, the applicant, the developer, will have to come before us
For the ice house?
for the, well, they're building in our
Jurisdiction,
jurisdiction. Regular permit.
right next to the pond.
Oh, they'll be that close.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know the area very
yeah.
well.
Oh, yeah,
So,
it's jurisdiction.
okay, it is, okay.
And one of the issues, and by the way, that's a perennial stream. I don't think there's any
Oh,
controversy.
there's
about
no,
that. Right. However, there is an issue as to what happens to a perennial.
Oh,
Oh, we need to know that.
technology.
All right, you got it. The issue is what happens to a perennial stream when it broadens out into a pond?
That's the orange test that I have used.
And the answer is,
Throw the orange into the pond, and when the orange stops moving, that's where the perennial stream stops. Yeah, no kidding. I
and
used it.
literally the pond itself doesn't qualify under the Rivers Protection.
Right.
It stops. So you go from 200 feet to 100 feet, and then back to 200 feet.
Exactly.
It's weird. So,
True enough. It's true, though. I've used it in Hanover.
so.
Helping out the
But keep in mind
Concom
that Pine Tree Brook, you know, when it exits from Pope's Pond, it kind of swings around, I say, to the right, to the north.
Yes.
And it goes by our land, and then it goes back to the 200 feet. So we're probably going to have a 200-foot jurisdictional mark coming in from one side of the project, even though it may be 100 feet from the pond itself.
Right.
Unless there's any BBW there. I don't think there is, but I think it's top of bank.
No, it's just pretty much top of bank. In fact, I flagged it last year sometime, didn't I? Or was it this year? Sometime I flagged it recently.
Yeah. I
Wrote
think-
a report on it and all for the Boy Scout project.
Oh, on that side of it, yeah, well.
No, I
I
think there
flagged
is a
it.
section that's a BVW, there is.
I flagged both sides. Actually, no, I flagged just the area where the bridge was going to go. On the upstream portion, just downstream of the
Oh,
house.
sure, yeah, or
That's
the
where I
Boy Scout
flagged.
bridge, the
Yep.
little one. Okay.
Yep, exactly. No, not the Boy Scout bridge. I flagged for the northeastern people. I flagged that portion earlier.
Oh, down by Canton Avenue?
Yes,
Oh, I
down by
didn't know
Canton
that.
Ave, yeah. I flagged that sometime this spring, maybe, past spring? I don't remember what it was.
I didn't realize that, but yeah, there's definitely BVW there.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so that's just informational, but, you know, put your thoughts together if you have anything, because we're in sort of a comment period right now through the select board. So if we have any thoughts or ideas, we ought to, you know, submit them and say, these are things that we're concerned with, and you know, density might be, because you're putting 89 parking spaces.
It's a
that
lot of
close to the-
impervious.
Yes, that's a lot.
That's pretty much the whole thing.
wow.
Yeah, that's a 30-day comment period too. So there's
I'll
not a
be
big window.
attending.
Correct.
Thursday morning, I'll be attending so if you have any comments, just,
Just tell them we hate it, okay?
There's a quite active neighbors association for Pope's Pond?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Friends of, yeah.
Friends of?
Yeah.
Are we,
They were here.
can we reach out to them to find out what the?
Well, they will be there.
They'll be there.
But I mean, as far
Tomorrow morning, if
That's a
you're
site visit. That's
available.
tomorrow morning.
There is a site walk tomorrow.
Oh, right.
8:30 tomorrow morning. I'm sorry I can't make it.
I'm in
Can't do
Boston.
it Wednesday or Thursday. I'd love to go.
Yeah.
You go?
I can't go.
Anybody?
I'm in Boston.
All right. Well, we'll get a report, and then we can reconvene. We should probably put this as an agenda item at the public meeting, so we can talk about it on the 21st of December. And if anybody wants it, I printed this, but I believe I have this.
No, we
A
got,
PDF
we
form?
got
Did you get one?
we got an
Yes.
attachment in the email. I'm a link.
Yeah, electronically.
Yeah, right, it is a link, right.
Yeah.
But not all the documents that John's referring to.
I printed it off the link.
Right.
I think it is.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Second? All in favor? All right, we're adjourned, thanks all.
Was that your Tom?